what did you think of I Am Kate? And what do you, well, you can laugh first. And then what do you think of, Caitlyn Jenner?
I laugh just because it amuses me how much people hate her and push back on her. I love Caitlyn Jenner. I think she's fabulous. I think she's older and a little bit uneducated when it comes to trans, but she's very educated in other things. And I think people need to start to learn how to separate things like politics, gender identity, sexual orientation, because these things are and are not tied together. I think a lot of people can't understand how, for example, a gay could be Republican or a trans person could be, whatever. I understand because I see people for people. I don't see people for their sexual orientations or their gender identities. And I think people need to give Caitlyn more the benefit of the doubt because she's old, she's trans, and she's doing the fucking best that she can. When people are those three things, I give them the benefit of the doubt simply because they're transgender. I may sound like an idiot to some of you, but I don't really fucking care because this is how I think. And I think trans people have been put through so much traumas in their life that if you too, as a human being, have experienced as much trauma, hate, mental instability, and pushback from people in general for being you, not even for being Republican, not even for being weird, not even for being whatever, just for you being you, you too would be a little off. You too would be saying shit that maybe doesn't resonate with the rest of the world. But were you born a man, now trying to live your life as a woman, now trying to run for governor, now trying to push forward, now still trying to live your life? You're not. So people need to have a little, what I like to call a seat, and either sign on or sign out. It's very, if you don't like stuff, babe, you just don't got to comment. You just don't got to tune in. That's why my IG profile says, hate me or love me, I'll always be me. And I feel like that's Caitlyn Jenner as well. First of all, do I follow everything that she does and says? Absolutely not, because I have a life of my own. Second of all, I just don't take anything that any older white man or woman is saying or preaching to full seriousness. And third of all, I just don't care enough because she's happy and she's doing her. And I wish people would just be happy and do them as well.
I agree with basically everything you just said. I mean, especially when it comes to, I don't know why. I agree. I think sexuality, sexual orientation, gender, I don't know why that always gets confused with politics. It's not the same thing. I mean,
well,
people are
uneducated, even myself even myself included. I don't know a whole lot about politics. Should I? Probably. I just don't fucking care enough, babe. Life is too short. Life is too short for me to get my fucking panties that are already too tight in a bunch because of what? All I got to know is what I know and what I believe. I got to vote. I got to practice what I preach. And I got to encourage others to do so. I can't come for your viewpoints. I don't really have enough time to come for your thoughts and whatever. It's just, we got to let people be who they are, and then it's always the white gays that kill me too, that come for people like her. It's like, I just don't understand, but I do. I completely get it. And everybody is entitled to their own opinion. You know what I mean? It's like, I just don't know. It's all fun and games to me.
Do you think I mean, I do agree with all that. Do you think Caitlyn then has been good for the trans community? Because, like, if you take a lot of people that are not really as in the know as, say, you or me, or even once removed, like, Caitlyn is the face of the trans community to a large respect to a lot of people that have very limited exposure, if that makes any sense.
If Caitlyn is the only face to transgender people that you know of, then I'm sorry, you're ignorant and you don't care to expand your knowledge on more transgenderness. That's my first response. My second response is, do I think she's the best advocate representation? Absolutely not. But who is? Do we think Joe Biden's the best fucking president to represent the United States? Probably fucking not, but he is. So why is that okay? But then some other things aren't okay. I'm not saying, now that's a very big extreme. Again, pulling it back outside of the politics because it gets too much. She doesn't represent the whole trans community. She is one person that, yes, is basically a Kardashian. And yes, I understand what you're saying, but do you get what I'm saying too? If she's the only person if she's the only trans person that you know of, well, I mean, that's sad, and that tells you where we're at. So let's just say that. But let's focus on the good. Do I think that she's a good representative? I do, because simply people know that there's trans people out there. People simply know that you can be born a man and now live your life as an unapologetic woman, and that's what she's doing. And those are the basics of what being transgender is. And that's what we need people to simply know. This is what this is. This is what this looks like. And you do what you want with the rest of the information. You know what I mean? It's like, so what, all Asian, Black, gay, that one person isn't what all walks of those lives look like. And I think parents are realizing that more now when their kids are saying, Mommy, you know what? I actually feel like this, or, what's this? Now parents are actually being forced to do their own research, to do their own Google researching, to do their own educating, their own form of education on what being trans and non-binary and all these things are, because it's now affecting your life. And how beautiful is that? Because that's actually what we need, because trans has been around for decades and for centuries. Somehow it's just always been portrayed as the joke and something that's not real, because it's something that people are scared of. And when there's fear involved, people act weird. You know what I mean? Think about how you act when you get scared. I know how the fuck I act when I get scared, and it's some sissy ass shit. You know what I mean? So I think we're getting there.
You do? You think we're getting there?
I do, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you close your eyes even 5 years ago, I mean, I think, we've come far, right? I feel so.
I mean, we have more representation. We have more, it's there.
It's there. I mean, listen, even right, it is there. Again, I just say 5 years.
The trans community has the farthest way to go. I mean, I always like to remind people that in my eyes, we are even seen as less than Black people. I mean, we aren't even being considered. We haven't even we need a BLM. You know what I mean? For people to really shake up and wake up, but we're there. It's taking a lot of time because there's not a lot of trans folks, and there's not a lot of trans people sharing their stories and talking about it because people are scared. People don't understand. The trans thing is dramatic and traumatic for a lot of people. And that's not easy for a lot of folks to understand or to, want to talk about.
I agree. what, and then we're going to move on. I want to hear all about everything you're doing currently, but just because it's such a hot topic, I'm just curious as to your thoughts. What about, you know, like Caitlyn's stance, and not just her stance, lots of people's, when, you know, the whole like trans women shouldn't compete in women's sports because it's not fair.
Well, obviously that's wrong. And obviously that's not fair. And obviously that's stupid of someone like her to say, because it comes across as very contradicting. But I like to try to bring light and understanding to certain situations. You know, people like Caitlyn, they see themselves as women. They don't see themselves as transgender women. See, this is what people don't understand. She doesn't see herself as a member of the LGBT community, love. She sees herself as a white woman of privilege, because that is what she is.
Yeah.
And so therefore, she says and does what a white woman with privilege does. Why are we so shocked when we have Becky Sue over here and fucking whatever Karen over there doing whatever they've done for decades, but somehow because they're not transgender yet, they don't get the lashback? So I don't know. I think people say and do what they want, you know, while privileged. I've said and done plenty of things in my career that maybe I regret or came out due to the lack of education. You know what I mean? And I just think, does that make sense? She doesn't see herself.
100. Yeah.
That's my theory.
That makes sense to me. It does, honestly.
It's, you know, and I think it's healthy because, you know what, this is like, when we dig deeper, it's like, well, now we're taking the trans thing out of it.
Right.
That's even more confusing for people, but that's actually really what we need, because I'm a woman before I'm trans. So respect me and hear me roar. You know what I mean? And that's her.
100%.
I just think people see Caitlyn as trans before they see her as a woman. And so they expect her to do and say certain things, just like the community or people, you know, expect certain things from me. But it's like, just because you're out there and you represent a marginalized group of people doesn't make you the how can I say, it doesn't make you the end all be all. It doesn't make what you say represent the whole entire community. Actually, people need to be thankful and grateful for people that are willing to risk their lives, really, to come out in public and express themselves.